Are you struggling to generate modern Angular code with your AI models? Well, if you are, then this video is going to be perfect for you, because in this video, I'm going to show you a new agent skills repository introduced recently by one of the most active contributors in the Angular ecosystem, Brandon Robert. And over the past few days, I actually tested these out on a real project. It was a simple project. As you can see, it was a contact project here. I use the same environment. I use the same prompt, exact same prompt to generate these two applications, as you can see. And I want to discuss the results here so that you can know as well what these skills actually change in terms of the code quality. But before we move forward, in case you're wondering what are skills, well, skills are basically simple prompt files, markdown files to teach the AI best practices. And now these can be framework specific best practices. For example, in this case, it's the Angular skill, but you can also include your own best practices for you. The different thing from rules, because these sound really similar to rules, but rules are always included as part of the prompt. So they load up the prompt, load up the context, and it uses up your precious tokens more. Skills are basically loaded on demand. These skills files are only used or fetched in detail when the AI decides to do so. Okay, so if I show you the structure for a skill here, and this was the main repository, so it has different skills here, as you can see, for each of the Angular modern syntax. So for component, for DI, for Angular directives. And if you go in Angular component here, there is a skill.md. This is basically the skill file that is loaded, but it's only loaded when the name and the description here are fulfilled. All right. So all of this is only fetched when the AI or the model decides that this is needed. Okay. So this makes the skill basically more efficient than rules, and it allows you to include more helpful context when the AI model needs it. Okay, so how do you add these skills? You basically just do npx skills add, and then you can add your repository, the public repository that you want to use for installing those skills. Okay, in our case, the public repository is, as you can see here, it is analog.js Angular skills, because Brandon Roberts is the creator of analog.js as well. So we can use that, but there are a lot of other skills now available, publicly available, that you can use in your own project. All right. So you know now what skills are, but how did I actually set up my project for testing this to see what effect these skills have on my Angular code? What I did was that I used a simple process. So I created two repositories, two folders, and in both of them I created new Angular projects. So one I kept as contacts baseline, the other one I kept as contacts with skills. Okay. So what I did was that I removed all of the rules, because Angular, when you create a new application, it prompts you for installing your modern Angular rules as well. But in this case, for this test, I actually did not include them because I did not want to see any changes related to those rules. Okay, I only wanted to see the change that the skills file actually makes. And secondly, I also disabled the Angular CLI MCP server, which is also another way where you can actually get the best practices in case of creating a new application or generating some code. So I also disabled that for the time being. And then in the skills repository, I actually added the skills here, and it specifically added these files to my repository here. So if I show you here contacts with skill, and I show you here the skills in your cursor, you can see that there are skills here installed here like this. And then I use the exact same prompt in both of these projects to generate this application. And the result is these two applications that you can see here. So both of them are pretty similar in terms of the UI, you can see, but there are some small differences. Even though I've used the same model here, I used Opus 4.5, which is the premium model being used nowadays. And the app was really fully functional because the model actually tested it as well. And in case of the contacts with skills, actually it tested really well by even making screenshots. But as you can see here, it works really fine. So we have, you can search for it, you can add filters to it, and you can add a contact here. Routing works here, as you can see. Then you can edit a contact here, and you can see that the routing and all of the other features are working here as well. You can also delete this if you'd like to. Similarly, with contacts with skills, all of the functionality works here. But let's get into the meat of it, and that is what difference the code makes in this case. Okay, so you might be wondering what prompt I actually used to create these contacts applications. So let me just show you that really quickly. So you can see this is the prompt here. So it is, I say that this is a repo of a brand new Angular app so that it does not create an Angular app itself. And then I said add code for a contact CRM application with the following features. I gave point by point feature list here. And I said start with the contact list component and then do the added contact form, use proper form validation and state management, right? So The same I used, as you can see, this is the context baseline, and in the context with skills, you can see I have used the same thing here. Okay, then the code was generated and the app worked really good, but I wanted to compare this, and I said that okay, it would take a lot of time for me to compare everything, nitty gritty of the code. So what I did was I let AI do the hard stuff by comparing the code itself. So I created a new code comparison task here, and I said that I want to compare this app's code with another app which was created with a similar prompt. It's located in the parent of the current folder's projects and then contacts baseline subfolder. I give the specific folder to it. Can you provide an analysis of the difference in code? Because this one uses a skills file and that one does not. Okay, so it explored both of these code bases and it came up with a really comprehensive answer. And I'm going to show you that right now. So let's go down here because I have something here. So this is basically the summary that it gave. And you can see that there are a lot of things that it gave here. I'm going to show you just 3 or 4 major changes that it made with the skills file and with the differences that it had with the skills file and the default one, so that you can know that what difference this actually makes. Okay, so the first difference that I want to show you in the code is related to the standalone default declaration, the implicit declaration. So in the context baseline, as you can see, we have the same contact form here and we have the same contact form here as well. But you can see in the component decorator here, this one has no standalone true default and this one has standalone true here. And this is actually not needed in Angular version 21 because if by Angular version 19, this was implicit, okay? So the skills file actually ensured that no extra or unnecessary standalone flags were there in your component decorator. Okay, so the second one is related to the root parameters. And as you recall, there is a with component input binding property in Angular now in terms of the router, which you can use to actually just directly map the root param to the signal input. Now, the baseline one actually did not use that, okay? The baseline one went straight for the root.snapshot.param map because this is the more prevalent way historically in the existing code bases that it found in its existing training data. So you can see that it is using an ng on it, it's using parammap.getID, and everything works, but this is a sort of an older syntax and less a signal-based syntax, all right? But in the new one, the contacts with skills, you can see that we have ID as an input.required. And if you go in your app.config here, you're going to see that with component input binding has been included. Now, this is also a direct result of the skills files that we have. Okay, thirdly, it's related to change detection. So if you look at every component here, if you, for example, look at contact detail here, in your component decorator, you're going to see that this one has the default change detection. But a new best practice, especially if you're using signals everywhere, is to actually use change detection.onPush. The skills file basically ensures that all of your components are on push and it's using signals everywhere. Okay, so this was also a little detail which makes your code more refined. And lastly, there is something to do with the form. This does include, the skills file does include an Angular signal forms example as well, but it is experimental, so it also has a note saying that okay, this is experimental, don't use it in production apps. So even though I wanted to use signal forms for this, but it did not use that, and I actually specifically asked the AI why did it not use it. And if I show you that here, so I actually asked this here, as you can see, why didn't you use the Angular signals form as defined in the skill? So it said you raise a valid point and let me explain my reasoning. Looking at the Angular forms skill, it describes the signal forms API as experimental for production apps requiring stability, see reactive forms patterns, okay? So the skill explicitly recommends using the stable reactive forms pattern. Even for the reactive forms pattern, it used a more best practicey way to ensure that the data that we get is more strictly typed. So as you can see, if you go in your contact form here, you can see here that it uses fb.group and it uses the form builder directly here like this. But a more best practice way that I also use as well is to use the non-nullable form group. So if you go in your contact form in the contact skills one, you're going to see that it uses, you can see that it does not use a non-nullable form builder, but it actually uses it like this. So fb.nonnullable.group here. So this makes the first name strictly typed. So it removes the null based values that it has. Okay, great. So this is also something which the skills file explicitly includes. Now, obviously, there were other changes as well. If I show you the table here, computed, and there were tag that were part of the form, but in the baseline, it actually used a separate signal Sometimes it's also used more boilerplate, as you can see. So with skills, it was less boilerplate, and with baseline, it was more boilerplate. And in some cases, it did not use the computed as it should have in the baseline. It used manual signals. In the skills one, it uses computed almost all of the time. Okay, so these are some things, and in the end, obviously, it also calculated the code line, and you can see that the code lines were less as well, and the baseline one was more. Overall, even the baseline one was actually pretty nice. So it wasn't that it's bad. You can see that it's using signals in most of the cases, but using signals correctly and following all of the best practices, obviously the skills version better job than this, even if it was a slightly bit better. But in terms of if it is a bigger project, it's going to be more apparent, these small code changes, and they can lead to bigger bugs down the road. So then what's the verdict? Will I use these skills for my own projects? I will definitely do that, because even though out of the box Opus 4.5 actually gives a lot of clean code, modern Angular code, but still these skills provide a better code output in the end. I also tested it further with some more refactors. So these skills file really help a lot in creating components in the right way, adding accessibility and other things as well, which you might also lack as an Angular developer yourself as well. These are a must use, and I think the Angular official team is also coming up with a skills repository themselves. So that would be really interesting to see, and I'm going to be here to test it out. By the way, if you are interested in such topics, AI related development, especially related to Angular, do subscribe or join my newsletter, which I actually send every week, containing all of these updates that I've been up to during the week and other things as well. It might be of interest to you. So check the link in the description if you want to subscribe to that newsletter. I hope you liked this video, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time with another interesting video.